This is the Omaha News, presented by the School of Communication at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, from the studios of UNO Television.
Hello, I'm Alicia Ipog.
And I'm Ben Bohal. Welcome to the Omaha News. Thanks for joining us.
The midterm elections are over, the results are in, and we'll take a look at the results in Nebraska and Iowa. More on that in a moment.
We'll be talking to Barbara Pickering later about the elections and how Nebraska will be affected.
Tuesday, we had live coverage of the midterm elections. Congressman Lee Terry will continue to serve as a representative for Nebraska's 2nd District.
Joining us today to talk about the 2nd District elections and Lee Terry campaign is Omaha News reporter Jackie Scarta. Jackie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ben and Alicia. The room was packed full of supporters eager to have Terry as their congressman once more. So you can imagine the energy when Terry won.
Out here that aren't up on stage that still
Excitement was in the air as elections wrapped up nationwide. In Omaha, the biggest election was the fight for Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. Lee Terry, up for a 7th term, defeated opponent Tom White in what both agreed was a very well-run election. At White's campaign party, located at IBEW Local 22 on 89th and L Streets, supporters like William Forsey explained the need for a relatable candidate.
I try to look at people that are going to look out for the middle class and try to maintain a good standard of living for the middle class and is willing to take a stand for us.
At the Omaha Firefighters Hall on 60th and Grover, voters for Terry had strong beliefs behind their vote as well.
I believe Terry's big on small businesses, and that's important for me and my family and the companies that I work for and just the majority of the small companies in America.
By 9:30 p.m. on Election Day, Terry was presumed the winner of the 2nd District and was able to talk about his focus to help future generations.
get the debt under control, put this country on a position of a pathway to success and prosperity that they are going to then receive.
The win was predicted by most pre-election polls, but one message ran clear throughout both election parties.
Win, lose, or draw, I think, as an American, we should all get out and support something that is meaningful to us and our families.
Terry will begin his next term as congressman in January of 2011.
Now, Jackie, at the campaign event, what promises did Terry make for his next term?
Well, Ben, Terry said his message was clear: to stop government spending. He says there's going to be much discussion between the Senate and the House, but that it has to be done. And then he also says that it's not going to be personal or partisan, but the principles are going to be the same: to create jobs, empower the people, and limit government.
Thank you, Jackie, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Nebraska's 1st and 3rd District congressional elections ended in landslides as Republicans Jeff Fortenberry and Adrian Smith won. Fortenberry gained 71% of votes, while Democrat Ivy Harper earned 20% of votes in the District 1 race. In the elections for 3rd District, Adrian Smith toppled Democrat candidate Rebecca Davis, as Smith earned 70% of votes to Davis's 18% of votes.
Nebraska voters voiced their opinions by voting no to Amendment 2 and yes to Amendment 1. Amendment 2, which proposed the abolishment of the state treasury position, was met with disapproval, with 67% of voters voting no. Amendment 1 barely passed, with 49.4% of votes voting no. The amendment seeks to expand financial sources from municipal development projects.
The votes are in, and the people of Iowa have spoken. In the Iowa gubernatorial races, Republican Terry Branstad defeated Democrat Chet Culver 53% to 43%. In the Senate races, Republican Chuck Grassley defeated Democrat Roxanne Conlon 65% to 33%. And finally, in the District 5 House race, Republican Steve King defeated Democrat Matthew Campbell 66% to 32%.
Iowans voted to have 3 state Supreme Justices removed from position. This marks the first time Iowa voters had judges removed from office. The judges were on the High Court last year when they deemed an Iowa law restricting marriages to one man and one woman unconstitutional in a 7-0 vote.
Governor Dave Heineman won in a landslide against Mike Meister by gaining 74% of votes to Meister's 26%.
Joining us today is Omaha News reporter Ellis Givens to talk about the Heineman campaign. Ellis, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I was at the Dave Heineman campaign party in Lincoln, and the place was packed. Even walking into the room, you had the sense that Heineman had this election in the bag.
the re-elected governor of the great state of Nebraska, Governor Dave Heineman.
It's back to Nebraska business as usual for re-elected Governor Dave Heineman. Starting his third term, he's eager to get back to work running the state.
Beginning tomorrow, I will begin our work with the Nebraska legislature to invest in Nebraska's future. We will invest in Nebraska citizens by balancing our budget without raising taxes.
Moving from campaign promises to reflecting on his past term, Heineman keeps an optimistic outlook for Nebraska.
As we look to our future, we have an incredible opportunity to move Nebraska forward. We have worked hard to put Nebraska into a stronger financial position than most other states. In fact, the President and the Congress should follow our lead.
Heineman also expresses a confident message to all Republicans.
Tonight, all across our country, our fellow Americans are sending a message to the President and the Democrats. We want our country back.
Governor finishes his acceptance speech. He has one more message for Nebraskans.
Finally, I just want to say thank you again to my fellow Nebraskans for a great victory. I am proud to be the governor of the best state in the United States of America. Thank you very much.
In his speech, Heineman stressed the importance of strengthening Nebraska's economy.
Now, Alice, how does Heineman plan on strengthening Nebraska's economy?
He really stressed investing in jobs and education to help Nebraska families. Heineman talked about not raising taxes in order to balance the budget. Overall, he's just excited to get Nebraskans back to work.
Thank you, Alice, for joining us.
Thank you.
The fire department chief is facing criticism. We'll tell you why after the break.
We'll also be talking to Dr. Barbara Pickering about the midterm elections. You're watching the Omaha News on the Knowledge Network.
UNO Television.
Students work with professionals who have all kinds of experience in the industry.
Lights, camera, action. Literally.
Get paid while you learn more about the TV business.
Work on all kinds of productions.
My friends who worked on TV Crew last semester are now working part-time at local stations.
Working on TV Crew is a great experience.
UNO Television. Student crew, professional staff, award-winning results.
Breathtaking, electrifying, inspiring. Award-winning documentaries produced by UNO Television offer you a window on the history of Omaha and the world. Beginning with the acclaimed 2-hour documentary on the history of Omaha, If These Walls Could Speak, UNO Television has developed a reputation for producing high-quality programs that explore, educate, and enlighten. These outstanding productions can be part of your home video collection. For information about purchasing VHS or DVD copies, call 554-2516 or visit our website at unotv.unomaha.edu.
Most local television news only gives you brief headlines about issues that may be important to you. But for more than 10 years, only one program has remained dedicated to examining all the information about issues that really matter to Nebraskans. I'm Kathy Wyatt, and it's my privilege to present those issues for your consideration. Join me on the campus of UNO in a program we call Consider This, every week on the Knowledge Network.
With the elections over, Republicans have clear majority over the House, while Democrats still control the Senate. The United States may see changes in legislation in the near future.
Joining us today to talk about the future of Nebraska and the United States is Dr. Barbara Pickering. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Now, Dr. Pickering, why was this election so pivotal?
Well, I think it's true that every election is a pivotal race among candidates, particularly this race, because it's the first election after Barack Obama was elected president. So it is in many ways seen as a barometer of how the American public are responding to him.
What sort of campaign strategies were successful?
I think it depended on who the candidates were. One of the strategies you saw was that of the incumbent, and many of the incumbents wanted to run away from Washington. They didn't want to be seen as Washington insiders. You saw this in the Lee Terry race. He talked a lot about what was wrong with Washington as opposed to really talking about the accomplishments of the Congress. If you were a challenger, then you wanted to point fingers at the incumbents. You wanted to make sure that people knew you were not from Washington as a starting point. And that was really kind of the two central approaches that you saw in many of the races, whether it was congressional races or Senate races around the country.
Now I'm curious, particularly with the Tea Party candidates clashing with a lot of traditional Republican candidates, how did public image play a factor in this election?
Well, I think the public image is something that varies from race to race. You had the Tea Party candidates who, despite what we might think, are not really running on a single issue. They have a lot of different sorts of things that they are trying to accomplish, and so they can't be categorized as just one sort of individual. You saw a lot of the image coming from the outlandish, whether it was the candidate who happened to have a connection to the World Federation Wrestling, to other candidates, Christine O'Donnell and the humor that was portrayed of her having been connected to witchcraft. So you had some of those sorts of candidates that were out of the ordinary, and then the other public images were very much your traditional sorts of candidates who are trying to accomplish a particular agenda based on their party affiliation.
How do you think it will affect the 2012 presidential election?
Well, I think that there are a couple of things that will happen, one of which is going to be accountability. For the last 2 years, with the Democrats and the Republicans in the House and in the Senate, there's kind of been gridlock. And it's very well known through the political commentary that the Republicans had been known as the party of no. Well, now, when they take back the House, they're going to have to demonstrate to people that they can accomplish something. Because as we've seen in the last 3 election cycles, the American public doesn't have a lot of patience. Absolutely. They want things done, and they want them done now.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Pickering.
You're welcome.
And you can watch a replay of the Omaha News election coverage tonight at 7:30 on the Knowledge Network, Cox Cable, Channel 17, and Quest Cable, Channel 74.
An Omaha woman was a victim of identity theft as a result of using her credit card to pay for gas. More on that after the break.
We'll also be taking a look at video game piracy and the effects it has on the video game industry. We'll have all this and more coming up. You're watching the Omaha News on the Knowledge Network.
The University of Nebraska at Omaha is where you'll find unlimited possibilities. At UNO, our 15,000 students are learning what they need to know to join the workforce of tomorrow. With 200 programs, students participate in innovative academics and are engaged in dynamic campus and community life. The University of Nebraska at Omaha. Step up to the metropolitan advantage at bmav.com.
Maverick Sports has found a classy new home for football, hockey, and basketball coverage. Classical 90.7 KVNO. For schedule information, go to kvno.org. KVNO, the voice of Omaha's team, the UNO Mavericks.
Feed your brain with original programs from the Knowledge Network. TKN combines the resources of educational and television experts from UNO Television, Omaha Public Schools, Westside Community Schools, Metropolitan Community College, and Creighton University. TKN members produce a variety of programming with collaboration from students working in front of and behind the camera. The Knowledge Network. Feed your brain by watching Cox 17 and 18.
You're watching the Omaha News.
Digital piracy shows no signs of stopping in today's thriving gaming market. Sam Petto covers the growing trend.
Keith Kazaki is a zombie killer. He's also an intergalactic warrior and a spiky blue hedgehog. But one thing he will never be is a pirate.
Because you can't play online, you don't get all the features if you pirate, so there's definitely a lot of incentive just to buy it, you know.
According to a global piracy survey the Entertainment Software Associated conducted in 2009, over 10 million copies of games were illegally downloaded per month. And according to a study by Tokyo University, that piracy, for handheld systems alone, has cost the industry $41.5 billion. One popular pirating website reported over 500 illegal downloads of popular Wii title Super Mario Galaxy just today. To learn more about the problem, I spoke with Ryan Miller, Operations Manager and Franchise Officer of Nebraska's Gamers chain, at the future site of their 144th and Center location.
I'd definitely say it's widespread, but it's a little more on the down low. You don't hear about it as much as you would, say, music and movies and that kind of thing.
Miller says piracy is making the chain rethink the way that they'll distribute games. He tells me they'll soon develop a Redbox-esque buying system. For the Omaha News, I'm Sam Petto.
And video game piracy is leading many publishers into locking game features like multiplayer without a code sold with the game.
This past Halloween weekend, police officers threw the book at drunk drivers. Between October 25th and October 31st, police reported issuing 35 DUIs, with 23 of them being first-time offenders, 10 being second-time offenders, and 2 being felony offenders. Police also arrested 2 people for open containers of alcohol in their vehicles and 1 person for refusal to submit a breathalyzer test.
Well, if you're not careful, gas prices won't be the only thing draining your money. Identity fraud isn't uncommon, especially at the pump. As Jessica DeCesare reports, one woman tells her story.
High gas prices are already a concern for most of us, but when paired with identity theft, it gets much worse. One Omaha woman learned this the hard way. Diane says that the Eddie's gas station on Galvin Road ran mysterious charges on her credit card, total over $250.
This is the second time. July was when it happened the first time with my credit card, and it was Eddy Street, and it was a couple of other places that I had some charges that were not mine. And my credit card company was very good and helped me with all of that. It ended up being around $300 or $400.
Although her bank will give her her money back, she says she has learned a very valuable lesson. Derek Tom, that works at a gas station, says normally this is a safe procedure.
Well, as far as safety is using a card, as far as debit card or credit card, it's pretty safe. I don't really see any danger in it. Granted, I prefer a paper medium as far as money goes instead of electric currency.
Gas station managers say it's safer than ever to pay at the pump with credit. For the Omaha News, I'm Jessica DeCesare.
When paying by credit or debit card, always remember to ask for a receipt to avoid identity theft.
The Omaha Fire Department chief is feeling the heat after a review showed poor financial record keeping. Fire Chief Mike McDonald faces criticism for keeping poor records for the past several years. Councilman Chris Jeriff offered a resolution to the City Council to fix the problem. However, critics of McDonald are citing a city code that allows the mayor to call for the chief's removal. The City Council unanimously passed the resolution and expects action within the year.
There's a group of students gearing up to clean the graffiti from Omaha, one wall at a time. It's a part of Omaha that some have turned their backs on. But for these volunteers, it's time to do something about it.
Appreciate all the soldiers coming out to take part in this effort. I wish you all the luck. If you keep moving, you'll stay warm.
Members and volunteers of the Association of Latino American Students at Nebraska of Omaha had no problem doing just that. About 30 students filled their paint trays, grabbed a paintbrush, and got to work. It was the 4th time annually that the group has gone to different areas around South Omaha to clean up graffiti. And so far, it's made a difference in neighborhoods that have as many as 400 graffiti tags in a 6-block area. Although those numbers may seem overwhelming, Vice President Lupe Medina of the ALAS is remaining steadfast.
One of the biggest issues that we hear about all the time is about graffiti, and graffiti is over here. And, we really wanted to do something about it, and that's why we're out here painting.
The group hopes to continue their work next year.
It's almost the first Sunday in November, and it's time to turn back the clocks. We'll have more on the end of daylight savings after the break.
The winter months are coming up, and with the Nebraska Humane Society reaching its maximum capacity, animals won't have a place to stay. Find out what you can do to ensure animals have a home after the break. You're watching the Omaha News on the Knowledge Network.
Hi, I'm Meshach Taylor, actor and public television supporter, encouraging you to become a fan of UNO Television. Located on the University of Nebraska at Omaha campus, UNO Television is a unit of the College of Communication, Fine Arts, and Media. Student crew members are trained and placed in broadcasting positions that give them real-world experience. Many students move seamlessly into jobs within the local television market. UNO Television, student crew, professional staff, award-winning results.
Watch ICU Learning English on the Knowledge Network on Cox 17.
Only one program has remained dedicated to examining all the information on issues that really matter to Nebraskans. Watch Consider This, a program produced by UNO Television to give you more information than your typical newscast.
If you're an Omaha kid feeling tired and slow, here's the numbers you ought to know. Eat 5 fruits and veggies every day. Drink 4 glasses of water, okay? Eat 3 foods from the dairy scene. And just 2 hours in front of the screen. Take 1 hour to move around. And that's the Healthy Kids Countdown.
For games, ideas, and other fun stuff about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Visit livewellOmahaKids.org. But don't stay long.
You're watching the Omaha News.
Most people associate a stroke with the elderly or diabetics. Sometimes called a brain attack, a stroke can cause death or even leave a person paralyzed. Lasagna Hart has the story.
Most of us start our days in a similar way, by going to work. What we don't expect is to leave work in an ambulance.
My boss called the ambulance, and at that point they came. I can't even tell you how long it was because I just felt like I was dizzy. I kind of laid my head down on the desk. I was sweating, very nauseated, and just kind of felt like I was almost swirling in the air.
After almost a full day in the hospital, her doctor broke the news to her.
Basically, it's a tiny blood clot that doesn't completely clot in the back of your head, but gets to the point where you could actually pass out before it clears itself. And so it's the very same thing as a minor stroke.
Sherry's husband, Steve, explains how this devastated his family.
I was fearful because I've seen the effects of a person going through a stroke, and it's not a really pretty sight. And I was sad that it happened to Sherry because, one, she's so young, and then 2, because we have 2 young kids.
Physicians here at the Creighton Medical Center say that some signs of a stroke are slurred speech, confusion, and dizziness. For the Omaha News, I'm Lasagna Hart.
Some things that can reduce the risk of stroke are exercise and stress management.
Well, it's time to turn back the clocks as this weekend marks the end of daylight savings. On Sunday morning at 2 a.m., it is important that you set your clocks back 1 hour. The cycle will go on until the second week in March of next year.
As the winter approaches, the Nebraska Humane Society is running out of room for animals. The capacity is becoming a problem for the local Humane Society, and they're starting to ask for help. This year, the Nebraska Humane Society had a record year in being able to move the animals through the facility.
We've been able to do that. We have a fund that, a grant last year that we got to do some of those things that we didn't, before that we didn't have the resources to be able to accomplish.
The goal of the Nebraska Humane Society is to provide animal control services and work to rescue, rehabilitate, and readopt as many animals as possible.
So we've had a lot of animals. We're on course for a record adoption year this year, which is amazing, and yet it's been a scary year because we've been flirting with overpopulation.
Due to the overpopulation of cats, the Nebraska Humane Society is urging people to take strays to their county Humane Society. Instead of having to go to drastic measures, the Humane Society has decided to try reaching out to the community for help. With the amount of stray dogs and cats rising, the need for volunteers is crucial.
We've seen a lot more people bringing dogs in and dogs and cats and surrendering them for various reasons, whether it's an illness in the family, they can't afford them anymore. It all depends. But in the past year, we've probably seen more dogs and cats surrendered.
So make sure to license your pets and keep the leashes on them when they're outside. The Nebraska Humane Society is always looking for more volunteers. For more information, visit their website at nehumanesociety.org. Next week, we'll be taking a look at a group of Omaha high school students and the book they will be a part of in the future.
We'll also have a look at stargazing, a special autumn event that may be the Heartland's best kept secret. Thanks for watching the Omaha News. Have a great week.
University of Nebraska at Omaha is where you'll find unlimited possibilities. At UNO, our 15,000 students are learning what they need to know to join the workforce of tomorrow. With 200 programs, students participate in innovative academics and are engaged in dynamic campus and community life. The University of Nebraska at Omaha. Step up to the metropolitan advantage at bmav.com.
Find your inspiration with Classical 90.7 KVNO.
Feed your brain with original programs from the Knowledge Network. TKN combines the resources of educational and television experts from UNO Television, Omaha Public Schools, Westside Community Schools, Metropolitan Community College, and Creighton University. TKN members produce a variety of programming with collaboration from students working in front of and behind the camera. The Knowledge Network. Feed your brain by watching Cox 17 and 18.